As you know, earlier in the week, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur confirmed what everybody kind of assumed after the game on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions, that Devonte Wyatt's ankle injury is indeed season. And I'm not going to lie to you. That's an absolute brutal break and a brutal loss for the Green Bay Packers. Not only is interior defensive line one of the most important positions on the football field, but Devonte Wyatt was having one of his best seasons in the National Football League. Scratch that. Devonte Wyatt was having the best season he's ever had in the National Football League, right? It felt like you were finally getting exactly what you've expected, and maybe even more than that this whole time. He will be missed, and losing him for the rest of the year, I don't want to say it's as big of a loss as Tucker Kraft on the offensive side of the ball, but I also don't want to sweep it under the rug as something that's going to be just easy to pass by. Okay? I need you to show him some love for me down below in that comment section. I need you to get those 9-5s rolling for me. 95-95s. That's what I need to see down below in that comment section. If you love Devonte Wyatt and you want him to get healthy as soon as possible, get those in the comments. So Nazir Stackhouse is going to have to step up big time. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The undrafted free agent really impressed during training camp, and he's shown flashes from time to time so far throughout this season, but his role is going to be bigger than ever. So is Warren Brinson's, so is pretty much anybody else that finds himself in that room. But could there be some more guys that find themselves in that room? Coming up on today's show, I'm going to give you 4 free agent targets that I feel might be an option to replace Devonte Wyatt. 4 names that you need to have on your radar, and 4 names I think that maybe the Green Bay Packers should have on their radar as well. We're going to start with a familiar one, okay? A guy we've actually talked about decently recent, and that, of course, is defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, who still, since August, has found himself to be a free agent yet to be claimed by any team in the National Football League. Now, if you look at the numbers, there's probably a big reason that you're like, why? Like, what's going on? I mean, look at 2022, 2023, back-to-back seasons, 150, 160 tackles combined, 26 combined tackles for loss, 12.5 sacks combined. Last year in 5 games, 17 tackles, 2 sacks. But that's the thing, is like nobody's saying anything about his talent, because I still think that Christian Wilkins can come in here and he could be a great talent. I think he could go anywhere in the National Football League tomorrow, and he could knock you up, probably 5 tackles, a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. But it's the reason why he got released from the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you remember this story from July, Christian Wilkins, who was released by the Raiders on Thursday, kissed a fellow player on the head, and a teammate took offense to it. A source told Adam Schefter the incident was not the sole reason that Wilkins was cut, sources said, and there's been a ton of rumors on what else has happened in that locker room, reasons that he was released, and reasons he has still not yet been added to a roster. And that's the thing, is I just don't necessarily think he's worth the risk. Right now, it feels like your locker room is thriving. It feels like these guys are absolutely loving playing ball together. And I don't want to add anything that could be any sort of dynamite to the chemistry that this team has. And I believe that could be Christian Wilkins. So could he help you? Yeah, of course. But is the reward worth the risk at this point of the season? I don't think so. What do you think, though? Should the Packers sign Christian Wilkins? Let me know down below in the comment section. Give me a yes or give me a no. Regardless of what you do, weigh in down below with your answer. We're going to go next to Linval Joseph, a name we actually talked about after the trade deadline was over. He spent time with a lot of different teams across the National Football League, most recently with the Minnesota Vikings and, of course, the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, he played in 17 games and actually had a pretty decent season. 19 tackles, 2 tackles lost, and 2 sacks as well. Of course, he's just been looking to replicate his year in 2021 that got cut short due to injury, where he had 57 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and, of course, a sack as well. Now, the problem I have with Linval Joseph is that Green Bay, in my opinion, primarily needs a run-stopping defensive lineman. Green Bay doesn't need a ton of help getting to the passer. Now, sure, it helps a lot to have interior D linemen that can get to the passer, but if you're getting a guy like Linval Joseph who's a lot better at getting the passer than he is stopping the run. Like, there's a massive drop-off from one to the other. I just necessarily don't think that's worth it and don't think it would be very, very wise for Green Bay to do so. We got more defensive linemen to talk about coming up on today's show, but before we get to that, make sure you check out our awesome sponsor, the reason you're watching today's video, for 100% free, our friends over at Underdog. If you liked watching football, I promise you're going to love it even more with Underdog. Because football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Let's cut to the chase. If you download the app today and sign up with promo code Packers Report, you score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Here's my Underdog lineup for the SEC Championship game tomorrow. Give me the higher on Ryan Williams, 46.5 receiving yards. Give me the higher on Gunnar Stockton, 14.5 yards longest rush. And give me the higher on Oscar Delp for half a receiving touchdown. Really excited for this game. I'm going to give my prediction right now. Georgia wins, but they win it by a field goal. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code Packers Report. Score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Packers Report. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. DeShawn Williams is the next guy that we are talking about, of course, defensive tackle free agent, most formerly playing with the Carolina Panthers. And look, I get it, 12 games last year, 16 tackles, half a sack, nothing to write home about. But like prior to those years, he put together 3 straight seasons, averaging 16 games played, averaging somewhere around 35, 36 tackles, with a combined in those 3 years of almost 7 sacks. Like, I don't absolutely hate those numbers. The PFF grades, though, are the ones that I hate. Overall grade last season, 47.9. Pass rush grade, 53.8. Run defense grade, 41.3. And I get it. PFF grades, PFF numbers, they're not gospel. They don't tell you 100% if a player is going to be successful or not. But I do believe they're a useful tool in determining, okay, is somebody worth something? Like, would it be worth going out and adding this guy to the roster, or are we better just focusing on developing the guys we already have in that room? And I think the latter might be truer when it comes to a guy like DeShawn Williams. I've named 3. I want you to name 1. Defensive tackle the Packers should sign down below in the comment section. It could be a name I've already said. It could be somebody totally different. Just let me know your answer down below. The last guy I think is the one that I am most excited about. He's listed as a defensive end, but he's incredibly versatile. You could put him in on the middle, and that, of course, is Jeremiah Ledbetter. Let's talk a little bit about this option. Last year in 2024, 38 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 0 pass breakups. In 2023, he found himself getting 24 tackles. So, of all of these guys, he's had the most recent success, only being 1 year removed in 2024 from a season with almost 40 tackles and 2 sacks as well. And when you compare it to DeShawn Williams, man, the PFF grades, they are so much better when it comes to Jeremiah. 63 overall grade, pass rush grade of 49.5, but it's the run defense grade. Like I talked about with Linval Joseph, frankly, that's the one I care about most right now. Can you get a guy in here who could stop the run? I think of all the options that we've given you, Jeremiah Ledbetter is my favorite, and he is the most solid option because of what he's done most recently and because what he can do in the part that you need the most help with, which is run defense. But this is exactly why I wanted Gutekunst to trade for a defensive tackle about a month ago. Now, you can't predict the future. You cannot see, okay, Devonte Wyatt's going to be hurt, and we're going to really need some help at that position. But we all know this team needed a little bit more depth, and you could have found a defensive tackle that wasn't going to break the bank for you. And how much more useful would that be in this current situation that you find yourself in right now? I'm going to give you a name to watch for, and we'll actually probably go into deeper depth on this on tomorrow's show. But how about Calais Campbell? and I get what you're saying. Joey, he's not available right now, or at least he's not at the current recording of this video. But I think we all need to remember last season with Miami. Do you remember when they were at the point of the year where they pretty much believed they weren't going to contend for a playoff spot? They audibly said, we will cut Calais Campbell to help him sign to a team to get to a ring. Similar to what the Minnesota Vikings did with Adam Thielen and earlier in this week. Well, the Arizona Cardinals are eliminated from playoff contention. That's a guy who could be on the block sooner rather than later. Would love that get for the Green Bay Packers. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you got me followed on social media, Twitter, Instagram. Both those platforms is where you can find me. And, of course, I'm here every day. Green Bay Packers Report. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Daily updates on your favorite team in green and gold from your boy, Joey Petersen, right here on the channel.